Hello, guys. We're here at PAX East. I'm joined by Carlos from Below the Game, and I saw a game yesterday called Haimrik that I'm really excited about talking about. And you've already put a game out. Can you tell me a little about your company, the games you've made, everything?
Of course. Nice to meet you. I'm Carlos. I'm the CEO and game designer of Below the Game. We have 8 years now of being born. We're 12 people. We're based in Colombia, Latin America. Of course, we love making games. We're really excited to be showing our games, and especially Haimrik, the one you saw. It's our first time showing it. It's our first time at PAX too. So we're really excited. Yesterday, people loved it. People came to play it a lot, so that was fantastic. There's another game we're showing. We did it. It was for iOS. The previous game was for iOS. It's called Story Warriors Fairy Tales. It's the one around here. And well, Haimrik is more for consoles, PS4 and PC. So we're really excited that people like it, that people are enjoying it. So yeah, that's.
So the first game, the Story Warriors game, I've never seen a game like this. Basically, you're walking through the game. It's a fairy tale. It's reference to old fairy tales, and you're walking through. And as you walk through the words, you're able to interact with the game and the fairy tale itself. Can you explain like the concept behind that?
Yeah, well, we're trying this experimental gameplay project where we said, okay, we want to do a story game. Well, don't want to do a narrative-based game. We want to do something different. So how about if you interact directly with the words? How about if you can materialize the words as you walk over them? So that could work in your benefit or in your demise. So for instance, you're trying to walk over fire, then you get burned. So the idea is for you to grab a bucket and then grab water, and then you can put out the fire. So it becomes like a puzzle game for you, and we try to mix it up with fairy tales because we know the Grimm fairy tales are known all over the world. So we try to put on this theme that people would love it. I mean, like everywhere in the world. We think it's good for children. I mean, for iOS, we put it for that platform because we think parents will enjoy to play it with their children, and it's very safe, for all the family. So that's why we come up with the idea and mix it all together. The art style will look like those old pop-up books, very papery-like, and the themes of fairy tales mixed with the mechanics. So we thought it was a very good match.
And in contrast, you have a very similar mechanic with Haimrik, where you're still walking through the story and so on. But then after you kind of get a feel for the game, it seems to change into more of an RPG game.
Yeah, exactly. So Haimrik, we took the idea, the original mechanic, and we said, okay, we want to do this again, but we want to do it not for children. We want to do it for a more hardcore audience, like ourselves. So again, we would really enjoy, buy, and play. So we created this medieval story that's full of violence, full of gore, but it's not just gratuitous gore. It's kind of like more funny gore kind of thing. So when you laugh when he dies, and he actually is immortal, so he regenerates himself. One interesting part of the story, it's Masamba, a lioness he meets. So Masamba is always hungry, and she starts eating him out, like she eats his arm. And since he regenerates it, he grows it back, she sees that, and he starts seeing him as a walking lunchbox. So she protects him from any other harm that tries, to attack him. And she becomes kind of like his friend, and they become friends in this weird kind of way. So we thought it was a very original concept, and we, mix it with very particular art style, kind of like those old comic books from Europe. So that's why it's also monochromatic. We wanted a high contrast between the blood and the rest of the characters and the backgrounds and all that. So that's why Haimrik was born, a game for gamers like us to enjoy yourselves.
So I know that you've been working on for 8 years now. Your company's existed. You've worked on this game. This game's still in development. How long is the game, gameplay wise, and how long will it be before it's released as well?
Haimrik will be around 3 to 4 hours, so kind of like average indie game. It will be in development at least until January next year. We really want it to be perfect. People have been playing it so far, and it feels good. But we want to create a really, really good experience for everyone to enjoy and to say, okay, so I finished this game. What do I do with my life? You know, that's kind of like the feeling I want to create in people, and the feeling of surprise every time you play. You know, the gameplay wise, you need different stuff to feel you to make you feel, you know, interested constantly. So that's why we're trying to make something unique.
Right. So one thing I had in mind is since this game is a little bit different than Story Warriors, where in Story Warriors you're playing as the one character. In Haimrik, you kind of jump out and you're out of the story somewhat. It's RPG. Is it a linear story then? From that point on, like there's only one path you can take, or does it branch out?
The idea for us, I mean, that was another thing we thought. Okay, so we have this linear story that we could make, you know, with the puzzles and all that. We wanted to do something different. As you said, it becomes kind of like a more like an RPG kind of game. So that's the idea. When you come out of the dream, that's just the starting point. You can enter the world several times. But once you're in the town, you don't have, you know, a lot of words or anything like that. You're just in this RPG town, and you talk to people and you interact with them and you receive missions. So you have a lot of main quests, side quests. So it gives you the option to accept which ones do you prefer. Each mission has this very particular way of playing. So it depends on who you talk to. So if you talk to a poet, he will have a different type of word mission for you to accept. Or if you talk to children, so if you talk to children or to kids, they will have different type of missions for you. They will be more imaginative with more, you know, weird and unique, fantastical creatures. So that's the idea, for you to experience very different kind of missions as you know go through the game. So it will have, you know, not exactly full branching paths, but you will have a lot of different types of missions that you can accept and you know along the way as you play.
Right. Okay. Is Heimrik the only playable character in it, or you know, you mentioned the lioness and stuff? Do you always play as Heimrik through the whole game, or does things change throughout the game?
You play as Haimrik, but for instance with Masamba, she becomes a very integral part of the experience. So you don't play as her, but you play with her. So in this part of the game, you get on top of her, and she starts, you know, running from enemies, and you have to activate words below her, and you can attack enemies, you know, behind her, and you can kind of control her, like you know, the horses in some games, where you know you handle her, but she's, you know, independent from you. So that's kind of like how you mix up the gameplay with Masamba.
Okay. With the game, I don't want you to spoil too much, of course. But is there only one ending? Does it always end the same way, or does your choices throughout the game affect how the game is going to end in the long run?
It actually does. So the idea is that you will have choices in the game. These choices will affect the ending. I mean, it's difficult to talk about it since, you know, we don't want to spoil anything. But we have this. I mean, the full name of the game is Haimrik World Warriors, because there's this elite group of warriors. They're the World Warriors, which have they are the elite warriors from the king, and the king is this evil persona who controls everything and is very oppressive. So you eventually get into a revolution, and everything you do affects how that revolution starts, how that revolution resolves also, how you interact with your other characters. I mean, there's a lot of... I mean, the best way of putting it is kind of like this medieval Game of Thrones kind of story. You know, where you get surprises every now and then. So that's that's the best way to explain it without spoiling it too much.
Okay, awesome. With Story Warriors, you know, it's an iOS game. I know you're focusing on console, PC. With Haimrik, is Haimrik going to be a game that you also send to iOS, or is it only going to be a console game?
At least for now, we're thinking about for console and for PC. Maybe eventually we'll think of iOS. I mean, we have the technology and we have the experience, but we'd like to see how people respond to it on the PCs, you know, on consoles. We think it will do good, and we have, you know, very good options until now, but we'll have to wait and see.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited about it. It's a different type of game. I've never seen anything like it before, and I'm really excited. And I can't wait to check it out once it's out this next year, January. I really appreciate you meeting with me, Carlos. And thank you, man.
Thank you so much.